everyone, welcome to Random Encounter 337 or 337. My name is Jono Logan, and it is the most wonderful time of the year again, and I am not talking about Christmas, Hanukkah, and all the other festive winter holidays. I'm talking about the Game Awards and all of RPG fans' upcoming year-end coverage. So we have a jam-packed show for you today. We are going to waste no time getting into it. Joining us today are Zach.
Hello.
Hillary.
Hi.
And Mike.
Hello.
Now, like I said before, the last few weeks of the year, they can get pretty hectic around here. We have features like our most anticipated of 2026 list. Stay tuned in a few weeks for that. And we're going to be having I think the next episode of Random actually will be about that. We'll have our best of 2025 features, and we'll also have our random episode about that. And we're going to have lots of other year-end stuff. And we're also obviously the Game Awards. So we're going to talk about the Game Awards in a little bit, but the game came out a couple of weeks ago that I really did want to talk about because it's a pretty darn big game, and that is a new Octopath Traveler, Octopath Traveler 0. And it isn't every day that a new Octopath game comes out, and this one took a rather interesting route to get into home consoles and PCs. So before we move on to the big news out of the Jeff Miss Piggy show, we're going to talk about Octopath Traveler 0. And Zach, you reviewed it for us. The review is up on the site right now. I'm just going to give some background. Again, I always feel weird providing backgrounds about these games because you're listening to Random Encounter. I assume you know what Octopath Traveler is. But for those who don't, Octopath Traveler is a Square Enix series that debuted in 2018. Wow, 7 years ago doesn't feel like that long ago. It was defined by HD 2D art style, which is basically kind of like a Super Nintendo, but with depth. And there have been a couple of entries since then. They've had Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, and they were built on I would say, a unique narrative structure that focused on 8 distinct protagonists, and you can play their individual stories in any order that you wish in chapters. Unfortunately, in the first one, and to be honest, the second one, there is little character interaction between each of the characters and each of their stories. But I didn't hate Octopath Traveler 1. I loved Octopath Traveler 2. And in 2020, the series expanded, and there was a mobile-only prequel called Champions of the Continent. And it was a free-to-play title. It used a gacha system for acquiring characters. Obviously, gacha is rather contentious monetization option. But it looked great. I downloaded it for my iPad. I played a little bit of it, and then I just didn't. But it looked really, really cool. But I was thinking, you know what? I'll play it at some point. And then out of nowhere, they announced Octopath Traveler 0 was coming out. And it was a full-priced, ground-up reimagining of Champions of the Continent as a self-contained single-player RPG on consoles and PCs. And I was like, so I'm deleting this off the iPad. I'm going to wait for this thing to come out because that is a way better experience probably. So, Zach, you reviewed the game for this site. What was your experience with Octopath prior to playing it?
Just like Octopath in general or this game?
Octopath in general, or this game too.
So I think my opinions are similar to yours. I thought 1 was fine. I thought 2 was great, and then I played and reviewed this. Yeah.
The appeal of 1, I honestly think, is primarily in the presentation more so than the actual experience. The graphics, the visual presentation, and certainly the music were standouts in the first one. But then I played it. I was like, it's just leaving me empty. And then the second one fixed that. It had the same, even better graphics, even better music. But then they jacked the story up and the interaction and everything else. And it just became a much better experience for me. This is interesting because I've read a bit about the game, and unlike the prior 2 where it's, Octopath Traveler, there are 8 characters. This game features 34 of them. They're recruitable, and I love in the review you call it the Chrono Cross effect, which is great video game shorthand because you could have just said there are too many characters, but to anyone who actually plays RPGs, you could just say, hey, have you ever played Chrono Cross? And you know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of, because the characters, like they have one maybe short quest. Some of them don't even have that. And then you just never really interact with them again.
That's interesting because it goes so against the Octopath Traveler, I guess, entire ethos of the game, which is Octopath. There are 8 paths. In this particular one, I believe revenge is the primary driving force.
Yeah, but it goes a lot deeper than that. I didn't want to spoil anything. So
in terms of the cast, even though there were, as you say, like individual stories focused on 34 of them, is there a central character in the piece that actually gets developed more?
So the characters you recruit at the start, they have like more of a backstory, I guess, and there are more like scenes involving them later. But one issue I had with that is because this is a gacha game, you don't want to have them in the party because you find much stronger characters who don't have stories.
That's disappointing, but I kind of feel like that. We'll get into this as we get into the game more, but when I read your review, I was thinking this game sounds like it could have benefited from some more editing, like almost take out some of the features or make some of the playable characters into NPCs, something to focus the story a little bit more away from the gacha mechanics, because there's no gacha mechanics in this game, but it's based around that.
Yeah, I found myself just replacing characters throughout the entire game because like any character you get later on is just straight up better than the characters you currently have. So there's no point in having like a diverse party. It makes more sense to have like several of the exact same job.
Yeah, so you don't have incentive really to focus on the more narrative heavy characters either.
Well, the good news is they still like appear in like the main story scenes, and like you still get the cutscenes. You just don't have them in the party, so it's a little bit strange when you're fighting a boss that like is like central to their story, but they're not even there with you.
Yeah, you're not rewarded for having them around in other situations.
Yeah. So like, it sounds like there's not combat in where that. Wow, that was a sentence. You said like, you get new characters and they're just straight up better. So like, it doesn't sound like there's a benefit of like, having like someone in this role and then this kind of job and this kind of job to like balance it out. If you're just like, if you're always just getting better ones, you don't need a lot of variety to like progress and be successful, it sounds like.
Yeah, and half the jobs are just, even more than half the jobs are just completely useless in the game. Like, why would you ever use a cleric or even a dancer?
That's too bad.
It is. One of the things that's I have a personal pet peeve about this because, okay, let's just bring up the word canon. You mentioned that the original Octopath Traveler cast are actually included as cast members here, including like, if it's the original cast, Ophelia, Primrose, those characters. In Octopath Traveler 2, they were included as kind of an Easter egg as enemies in the arena. And, that's an Easter egg kind of thing that has no relevance on the plot. Given that Octopath Traveler 0 is a prequel, does the inclusion of them as party members, I guess, somewhat break the space-time continuum more than anything?
You basically just get 3 lines of dialogue with most of them, and then they just join your party, and they're instantly better than whoever like is in your party. So that's the extent of your interaction with them.
So they're basically going for the Cloud and Final Fantasy Tactics route, where they're like, why is Cloud here? All right, I guess he's here. There's no real explanation for it, but cool. I totally get why they would be there in a gacha game because, it's a gacha game. But the fact that they're here, it feels like, again, editing could have been useful here just to take them out. Or if anything, like leave them in as Easter eggs in various towns that you visit, for example, that they just happen to be there on a quest before their actual quest in the original Octopath Traveler. But like having them as playable characters is awkward.
Yeah, it feels like you're still kind of playing a gacha game, but they're just giving you a guaranteed like great role at this point in the story.
And you mentioned because those characters are so much better, it sort of no pun intended, it sort of breaks the combat system. The Octopath Traveler has a really great combat system, including a break and boost, where you can You can break enemies, you can delay turns to make yourself stronger. And you mentioned that it's almost pointless in this game. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, it exists, but there's no point, at least for any main story boss, where it's beneficial. And I say this because, so in my first playthrough, I kind of played most of the game normally, but then later on I realized like I don't really need to break anything, and in fact it doesn't even make sense to. And then in my second playthrough I went through the main story basically without breaking a single boss.
Oh, that's awkward.
And that was actually much easier than just engaging with the mechanics of the game. And I found that to be a problem because like just mathematically it just did not make sense to like actually play the game the way it's intended. So
yeah, that's disappointing to hear. I was hopeful that the balance would be better, but oh well. I guess that's just the way that they did the best they could with adapting a gacha game into a full-fledged game. But at the same time, it's like just edit it, for God's sake.
I have a question. Given that the review, based on how this conversation goes, it sounds like it's not that great of a game. But for reference, our review, it did get an 85 in Editor's Choice. So I'm guessing there's something redeeming to it.
The story is just excellent. And I think that really drives the game, because in my first playthrough, I don't want to say I didn't really care about the gameplay, but because the story is such a driving force for the game as a whole, you don't notice like a lot of the flaws of the game, right? Because you want to beat the boss to see the next scene. You don't want to beat the boss just like break it or just engage with the gameplay, I guess. So I didn't notice a lot of the issues that I like found later on.
So it very much is a story-focused title.
Yeah, I think if not for the story, it'd be a much lower score.
I think the thing that actually, I mean, ignoring the fact that it's an Octopath title, and I really loved Octopath 2, I think the thing that really caught my attention about this when I was watching the first trailer was the town building mechanics, the town restoration mechanics, because God help me, Suikoden, like town, like building the castle, that kind of stuff. It's one of my favorite parts of the game. So the fact that there's kind of that in here really intrigued me. How does that play out in the game?
But restoration's an extremely strong like aspect of the story, and it kind of like ties into that, because you think it's just a revenge story at first, but you're rebuilding everything, basically everything you lost, and you realize that there's so much more to it, right? Like if something devastating happens in your life, like what do you do about it? And that's kind of like how it ties into everything.
So it ties closely into the story. I imagine that you mentioned revenge off the top. I imagine the fact that you're restoring your town gives you a pretty good idea of what the revenge is for.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I don't want to say it's separate from that. Like it very much ties into that, but you realize that I guess the antagonists, like they have their own motivations. There are like it's not so black and white in the game. Like it feels like that for the first half, but there's a lot more to it.
There's a lot more going on. I imagine that another reason why this game got an 85 is because of, more accurately, it's the presentation. I mean, HD 2D has become much more common nowadays, both the official HD 2D and the recent Dragon Quest remakes, but also like knockoff HD 2D where other companies are kind of aping the style. But in my opinion, having looked at everything, I don't think it's really surpassed Octopath's implementation of it. And this one looks like an especially great implementation of that visual style.
Yeah, I think Square Enix has definitely perfected that. Like between like Dragon Quest 1 and 2, I think they're just doing a great job, and I'm excited to see more next year.
Yeah, it's just an exceptional way to, I guess, put forward a retro presentation with a modern twist that is accessible to pretty much every generation of gamer. I love the visual presentation of this game, and I was looking at some of the screenshots and obviously some of the footage off the trailer. It looks like Octopath, but it looks like a really good version of Octopath. And also, one thing that I was curious about was the soundtrack. You praise it, but you also say that occasionally some tracks can become repetitive.
Yeah, so this is a much longer game than Octopath 1 and 2.
Oh, really?
It feels like if you're playing Final Fantasy 14, but you're also playing the expansions, like just all at once. Like, this is an extremely long game, and you have the same dungeon and battle theme for like dozens of hours, basically all the way until the end. And
oh no,
that's yeah, I found that a little repetitive.
That also seems like an example of a consideration you'd want in translating from a mobile game to another format, because if you're picking up and putting down the game a lot, maybe you at least get some time in between hearing some of those themes. But if it, if it's one continuous story, like maybe you need to change it up.
Yeah. I mean, Zach, I like your comparison of like playing 14 with the expansions, specifically for the music, because every expansion does have different battle themes on top of different, dungeon themes, of course. So yeah, some variety probably would have helped that.
Yashinori Yoshiki comes back, and actually he was the composer for both 1 and 2, and he did the soundtrack for Champions of the Continent. And obviously, I imagine that many of the themes that were in Champions of the Continent have been utilized in this new title, presumably with some new music. So even though there are some repetitive themes, it still sounds like Octopath.
Yeah, and there is a lot of new music compared to the mobile version. Like when I finished the game, I wanted to listen to the music, and it's not on. Obviously, it's a review copy. It's not on like YouTube or anything. So I built the music hall. Like I had the music hall in the town, so I could like play everything. I collected the music too.
Wow, an actual use for an in-game jukebox.
Oh
That's actually impressive.
I love that there's a music hall. That's so cool.
Yeah, and I guess just part of my concern in that review is that some of the best tracks, like they play once, right? And then I think maybe Square Enix could have distributed it a little bit better to avoid that issue, because there is a lot of music in the game, and there's a lot of new music.
Yeah, we know it's high quality.
Oh, of course. I'm pretty excited to have some more music. And I know that both of Hillary and Mike, you two are as well, because, rhythm. But like Break and Boost is one of my all-time favorite video game albums. I love Break and Boost. It's so freaking good. Actually, Break and Boost, some of the earlier appearances that I made on Rhythm Encounter, I kept bringing on stuff from Break and Boost just because I loved it so much. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited that there's some new music. I just wish that it didn't get kind of repetitive. I guess the last question I have for you, Zach, is like, obviously from your review, even though the mobile roots of the game do shine through at times, there are character balance issues. Would you say that this does hold up as a premium single player non-gacha RPG? Yes, and primarily for the story. I think the story is just, it carries everything. Like you probably won't even notice a lot of those issues like at key points in the game. You need a little bit of patience to like get through the slower parts, as I mentioned. But like my review sounds pretty bad if I just mention about the gameplay and my issues with that, which are mostly from the mobile roots. But it's not like in terms of just total like hours, it's not going to ruin the experience. One of the reasons why this is giving me some hope is because Square Enix has released some rather fascinating and some exceptionally looking mobile gacha games over the last couple of years, some of which have been successful, some of which have not been successful. But it does give me hope that maybe they are looking at those games and they're thinking, all right, how can we repurpose this? A good experience that was marred by a frankly crappy monetization model and make it into something that we can actually publish as a single player game. Like I know that Bravely Default Brilliant Lights was released a few years ago, which was very short lived. But like looking at the art, looking at the style of it, it's a Bravely Default game. It just was a mobile gacha full of crap like that. And I'm like, wow, it'd be really cool if they could take that framework and release it as a single player RPG, sort of bridging the gap that is between the lengthy period of time that we have between Bravely Default titles.
Yeah. And, this also would be a great situation for like, Pat was a big fan of Near Reincarnation, and not only to like expand on these things and, make them less reliant on mobile mechanics, but also like to preserve them, because obviously these mobile games go away all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know really, Jono, the one you want is Romancing Saga Reuniverse. So hopefully there will be an offline version of that at some point for you. Are you okay?
Sorry, I was scratching my cheek just idly as you were talking, and then I kept scratching, and then I started going past the skin. Sorry, was distracted there. This is not the first time that Square Enix has actually done this. Like, if I recall correctly, Final Fantasy Dimensions 2, which has no actual connection to Final Fantasy Dimensions 1, was a mobile gacha RPG, and they took the bones of it and they converted it into a full-fledged single player just premium experience RPG, which is one that I've actually always meant to play, because I hear that it is not dissimilar from Chrono Trigger in terms of the story, which is intriguing to me. God, I love time travel. All right, well, thank you, Zach, for obviously playing this and for coming on to talk about it. I am pretty excited about this. I don't know when I'll buy it, but I will be buying it because, again, I went into Octopath 2 reluctantly based on my experience with the first game, but I had a few people, including Zach, be like, you play it. You'll like it more. And I was like, oh, geez, I love this. It was so good. So both your review and other reviews out there have been quite positive on it. So I think that hopefully I enjoy it just as much as I did too, and more than I did the original. All right, well, let's pivot now into the Game Awards, which were this Thursday. So this was on Thursday, December 11th. So it was a couple of days ago, as of you listening to this. And before we actually dive into the whole, raison d'etre of the Game Awards, let's talk a bit about the secondary component of the show, the awards.
I was hoping that's exactly what you were going to do. Thank you.
Oh, I telegraphed the joke terribly, and I think it still landed, which is...
It did.
That's just the reality of the Game Awards, folks. Could you imagine if the Oscars were like this? If it was just like begrudging awards that they were like, oh, do we have to do this between like trailers for Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
I might actually watch them.
Actually, probably more entertaining than some of the recent Oscars. Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about some of the awards. So obviously there are a lot of awards, and a lot of the awards I don't give a crap about, because whenever I watch the Game Awards, I really do have to go into it with the mentality of not everything is for me, and that's okay, because there is a lot here that's not for me. A lot here that is, but a lot here that's not for me. Like, I don't give a crap about the best content creator of the year. I loved that. I looked at the names. I was like, I don't know who any of these people are. Just completely different universe, completely different priorities when it comes to video games. And that's one of the wonders of the video game industry, that it's grown to the point now where there are so many different aspects of it that you can be a massive video game fan and be completely ignorant of like a giant segment of fandom within that community. And that's exciting. It means things are continuing to grow. But anyway, let's talk about the show. I mean, honestly, we could just call this Claire Obscure Expedition 33-a-thon and it would be fine, because that's basically... They swept. This was Expedition 33 was like the Titanics. It was like the Titanic of this game show, where it's just like every single award is just the people are getting tired of getting up and going on stage. Their knees are cracking every time they get up because they're so tired. But we'll start with Best Independent Game. And the nominees were Hollow Knight Silksong, Hades 2, Blue Prince, Ball X Pit, Absalom, and Claire Obscure, which of course won. This was a somewhat contentious award because of the definition of what is an indie game has evolved in the last few years. Like, an indie, is it self-published? Does it have a big publisher? And I don't know. Clair Obscur seems to meet a lot of the criteria of indie game for me. I wasn't really all that upset about it.
I will say that basically up until it just blew up this year, many outlets and people have referred to it as an indie game last year. So, I don't know what the exact definition is. I don't think they even provide that in their criteria. So it's kind of hard to gauge.
I think that's a problem with the Game Awards overall, is that we are somewhat ignorant of the criteria that they are picking these games on. There was a video a couple of days ago released on YouTube by a YouTuber by the name of Belinda Erkran, who worked in the game industry as a publicist, and I guess just decided to, I don't want to do this anymore. Or she worked for Epic or something, and she decided, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do games journalism. And she released a movie called Who Actually Picks Game of the Year? You Don't. And it was a really interesting look at the Game Awards and how much control Jeff has over it, and some similarities that it has to the early Oscars, where it really was a very much a black box where you had no idea how people pick things, how things win. And I think that's the case with this kind of game, with the independent game. It's how are we basing this on? What are we basing this on? And who knows? I think the thing I was most upset about here is that Blueprints got nominated once and it was here. And drives me so crazy because I think it's one of the best games of the year, not even close.
I would have liked to see it win something. Yeah, for sure. And I feel in many ways we're going right back to the discussion we had during our last book club, because that was 50 indies that changed the world. And we got into a lot of this stuff, and the categorization is confusing and can definitely make an award or a book or something around indies contentious.
Yeah, because Kepler doesn't own Sandfall, so Sandfall is an independent developer. A lot of indie developed games do get published. Some publishers focus on indie games, so they don't. I don't know. It's tricky. Do you only count self-published as indie, even when Blueprints? This is mostly developed by mostly one person. Raw Fury published it, but I can't think of something that was mostly made by one person to be anything but an indie game. So, and same with Expedition 33, outside of outside development and stuff that I'm guessing came in because of Kepler. The core team is very, very small.
It's somewhat similar, I would imagine, to the film industry in the sense, what is an indie film? And it's well, if a film is just not self-published, but self-released, it's even the most successful, interesting film is never going to get that much play. It needs to be picked up by a studio. That's why we have film festivals and things. So these studios can see the independent films produced and say, yep, we'll have that. And then they put their full marketing might behind it and get it really out there.
Right.
I kind of feel that's the case. This isn't the same situation as a few years ago with Dave the Diver, where it was nominated for lots of indie awards. And it's well, it's not actually an indie. It was developed by a studio.
I love the commentary that came out after that. Was it the director or someone high up in their director producer or something was hey, we never called it an indie game. We're owned by Nexon. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Which goes back to the black box nature of the Game Awards. It's well, that's my irritation that Blueprints was not nominated or win more things aside. Actually, Jason Schreier had an interesting point. He mentioned it on his podcast, Triple Click. He was actually quite annoyed that it wasn't nominated for more awards, but he suggested that it's because the game was only released in English, and because of the nature of the game and the puzzles and everything can only be released in English, means that it got less votes because there was a lot of the voting block that just didn't play it because they couldn't play it.
I am curious about that because when we played Night Rain pre-release, obviously we had to play with other publications, and we played with IGN France and Netherlands, and their English was perfect. So I'm curious how many, how that plays into it, I guess.
Yeah, English is one of the I wouldn't say a universal language, but is, way more people outside of North America and the UK can speak English than people in the UK and North America can speak other languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Yeah.
put an effort to learn it.
Yeah. Simply because games like this get released in it. Let's move on now to some other things. I don't want to make this a big thing for each award because there's a lot of news to get to, but I just wanted best action game. So it was Shinobi Art of Vengeance, Ninja Gaiden 4, Doom Dark Ages, Battlefield 6, and the only game within our coverage here, Hades 2. I was really glad that Hades 2 won something because I feel like both Hades 2 and Silksong, which we will be getting to in a few minutes, they did not get the short, like clearly any other year, these games would have been getting a lot more awards if Expedition 33 had been delayed to 2026 or had been released in 2024, but it didn't. It was clearly the very deserving winner. But both of these games, any other year, would have been cleaning up and would have been going head to head with each other. But I'm really glad that it got something.
Me too. I mean, it's kind of funny that it's straight up action game and not action RPG. I mean, I guess you can consider it either one, but I'm glad it did have a category where it didn't share with Claire Obscure for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, Zach, you reviewed it and you very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm glad it got some recognition.
Yeah, and that's the recognition it got. So we can move on from the recognition. Best performance. Yeah, best performance. Jennifer English won for Expedition 33. I have to admit, I have not played Expedition 33. As I understand it, this is extremely well deserved, and it was a great acceptance speech that she gave too.
Yeah, Hillary, you should talk. You're the one that watches her stuff.
No. I could gush for a while, but yeah, really, really, really excellent performance. Interesting that like most of the nominees were from the same game.
Yeah.
And yes, just very much appreciated her speech, and also want to shout out all the good work she and her girlfriend do on their stream. And I think they did a really successful like charity fundraiser too, kind of around like all the hype Expedition 33 was getting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it doesn't take much convincing once you get into Expedition 33 that was a truly excellent performance.
Yeah. I mean, now, having played that, and then Hillary, you know her and other people from Baldur's Gate.
I do know her, Shadowheart, yes.
So, I mean, like, there's all these people and that Ben guy who you see once in a while. I'm glad to see them being so successful. Like even, one of the trailers that I imagine we'll talk about later, when they mentioned Ben Starr and some other people, I'm like, oh, look, it's more of the Baldur's Gate people. I'm like, that's really a selling point for these games now. So I'm glad like all of them they're so very talented.
Yeah, I'm happy about it too. I actually mentioned her performance in my review of the game, so I'm glad she got that recognition.
Yeah,
that's right. You spotlit her.
Yeah.
I will say again, I haven't played it, so like a lot of the nominees here, I don't know about. I knew he wasn't going to win, but Troy Baker's performance of Indiana Jones was genuinely scary good. Like I know that people have seen like the clips and things like that, but I actually, I played the game. I really loved the game.
I want to play the game.
It's very, very good. You'd really like it. I think anyone would really like it, but it's terrifyingly good. I can't believe how good it is. It's the best recreation of a performance of another person that I've ever heard. It's jaw dropping.
That's
to the point where like if I was LucasArts, I'd be like, oh, we can make Star Wars games starring Han Solo now, providing that we cast Troy Baker as Han. Like,
right?
Holy crap! Holy crap! It's good.
Which was it? Was it last year's Game Awards or was it like Summer Game Fest? Which event was it where like they had Harrison Ford and Troy Baker up on stage?
I think it was last year.
And he was just like, I forgot what he said exactly. Just like, well, like he was kind of like fake annoyed.
Yeah, I remember that bit. And it was very, very funny. But also like it was I think Harrison Ford made a joke about stealing his soul or something like that. And I remember playing it and being like, yeah, this is real close to stealing Harrison Ford's soul because holy crap. Anyway, let's move on to the next one, which was Best Action Adventure Game. Silksong won. Again, really glad that Silksong won something because I think it deserved to. And that's it for Silksong. Again, like before Expedition 33 was released, or even after it was announced, if you were like, oh yeah, Silksong and and Hades 2 were going to win like nothing at the Game Awards, people would have thought you were full of crap. Like they would have laughed because, oh, those games are going to sweep. And they certainly did not. Best art direction. Again, interesting category. We had Hollow Knight, Silksong, Hades 2, Ghost of Yotai, Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, and the winner, Clair Obscur. This is going to be a recurring theme because Clair Obscur, as I mentioned, swept. I have not played Clair Obscur. I've looked at a lot of the art. I've looked at the trailers. Yeah, this deserved to win. Holy crap, it looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't... Art direction is such an interesting one because, you know, it's not saying it's like the best graphics or the highest fidelity or whatever. And like, obviously, like art is going to really depend on a given person's preferences, you know, like you look at any of those though, like Silksong looks fantastic. Mm-hmm. Like it's the look it's going for, it nails. And they all do that. So it's tricky. Like how do you really say one is better than the other? But in terms of just like the creativity and the level of detail and just everything, like I'm constantly stopping and looking at stuff in that game and just being like, oh, look at this thing over here. So it's very impressive.
Yeah, that's true. I think this is a category where I feel like maybe it was a little bit more contentious, like not quite as easy a win for Clair Obscur. Although, you know, I love the art direction and all of it, but I think that's a really important point. Like thinking about how do you rank that?
Yeah.
And I think you rank that as popularity contest in terms of who won. Like it very clearly, this is not saying that Clair Obscur did not deserve to win all of these awards, but there does come a point where it's like popularity contest piling on is clearly the finger on the scale of something that would have won anyway. And Clair Obscur certainly had that. They had quite a night. Let's move on to Best Sim Strategy Game. This is a weird friggin'... There are a lot of weird friggin' categories in this thing, but like Best Sim/Strategy Game, like I guess strategy games can be Sims, but like Sims can be a lot of things. Well, Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics won against the Alters, Jurassic Park Evolution 3, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, and Tempest Rising and 2 Point Museum. As I understand it, it's deserved to win because Tactics is Tactics. It's one of the greatest strategy RPGs ever made.
Yes, although you're right, it is a strange lineup.
Yeah,
I think about like our own awards sometimes, and like some years, like in the past, like some years we just don't do a strategy RPG award because for a while there, like no one was making them. Like you'd get a Disgaea and maybe something else, and sometimes it was like just Disgaea. So it's like we could give the award, but it's just like this is the only one the whole year that was notable at all. So like it's kind of weird to award it. So I can see why they'd like merge them. Although
there's been a resurgence.
There has. But also like at this point, kind of like how it's hard to define indie, like sim is such a weird thing to like even consider a genre, right? Everything's a sim now. That I know what they're going for, the specific kind of sims they're talking about, but also there's all other kinds of things like I don't know. It's such a broad term now, so it's weird to like throw all that together.
It's very similar to RPG in the sense that RPG mechanics and sim mechanics are exceptionally useful for developing both gameplay and character and immersion.
Yeah.
So you might as well just build those into every single genre, and then everything's an RPG, everything's a sim. I dislike the next category, Best Debut Indie Game. I mean, we've already had Independent Game. I kind of wish this was Best Debut of a Studio or something like that. Just take the game out of it.
I don't know what it is. I don't know how it's different from Best Indie Game.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's their first game. So it's like Clair Obscur was
Clair
Obscur, the winner was their first game. Blueprint's first game. Dispatch first game. Is it Despelote? Yeah.
Despelote, yeah.
First indie game. So it's like their debut title. I just kind of wish they almost went away from the game title because I feel like, again, popularity contest, people who are voting are going to be like Clair Obscur without even thinking about it because they haven't played the other ones. Whereas if it was the best studio, it might be a little bit, I don't know, more thought put into it. But no, Clair Obscur won Best Debut Indie Title. And again, not saying it doesn't deserve it, but really wish that Blueprints got something. Best Score and Music. Again, a ridiculous category this year with Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotai, Hades 2, Silksong, and Clair Obscur wins. Like Hades and Hollow Knight have some of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time, and Silksong and Hades 2 live up to those soundtracks in many ways. But like Clair Obscur was unstoppable, and listening to the music, again, well deserved, especially with some of the performances that we saw tonight. Where holy crap, this is amazing.
I liked like Lorien Testard's like performance there. It was kind of a prelude to the results, basically. But I think that really sealed it for me.
Yeah, him shredding between two extremely French singers. It was just like, wow, this is the Game Awards. An undersold part of the Game Awards is genuinely the music. Their music performances are really exceptional.
And this is a category I would fight about. I feel very, like, from the beginning, I have felt very, very strongly about Clair Obscur's soundtrack. So I was very happy. And I love the contrast of seeing Lorien like perform first and then come up to accept the award.
Yeah. Hillary and I were talking about this during, and I was like, we were watching him perform and I'm like, isn't he pretty shy? And, I'm not a musician. So, she was telling me about, it's like, well, yeah, but like, for a lot of people, it's different when you're performing, when you're on stage. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can see that. And then he got up and talked. I'm like, there it is. That's what I was expecting. I love what he said. It was very sweet, but I'm like, okay, like that. I don't know. It just, I think about people in those situations. I'm like, that must've been like tricky for him, but he was so great.
And I think seeing that is just really gives me a chance to highlight the whole trajectory that soundtrack took, right? Like, I think that's a very, quote, indie thing about Clair Obscur is, they were asking around on forums. It was his very first project like that. He was mostly teaching guitar, if I'm not mistaken, before.
Yep.
So any chance
and very well qualified to do so, obviously.
Yeah. And like, just being able to highlight that and celebrate that and that he won makes me very happy.
Yeah. I could talk for hours about this soundtrack, and thankfully for everyone here, I already did. So if you want to go check out our recent episode of Rhythm Encounter, you can listen there. But needless to say, I'm also very happy. Like, I didn't need for me personally, I didn't need the game to win as much as it did. I'm happy it did. But if I had to pick one or two, like, this was one of them. It deserved.
Yeah, I can Hillary, what you were saying to Mike, that's very, very, very true. I am a textbook example of this, where I am an introvert I'm an introvert in front of two people. I'm an extrovert in front of 2,000. It's just a weird quirk of brain and physiology where it's like, if you put me in front of a large group of people, I am energized. If you put me in front of a small group of people, I am nervous. I'm shy. And it's very true with a lot of performers. Let's move on now to a category that is very important to us, which is Best RPG. Obviously, Clair Obscur won, but the other titles were Avowed, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Outer Worlds 2, and Monster Hunter Wilds. Obsidian had a good year. Like, they really did. Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed, for some frigging reason, became culture war pinatas, which pisses me off on a number of levels, because there's nothing particularly culture war pinata-esque things about either game, just the internet. But, they released two pretty damn big games in 1 year. I don't think we're going to be hearing from them for quite some time after this, aside from like smaller titles. But looking at this list, I played the Outer Worlds 2. I really enjoyed it. I haven't played Wilds. I played some of Avowed. Clair Obscur clearly deserves to win here, just like it did most other categories. It's just an exceptional kind of once in a generation sort of game.
Yeah, I will say I need to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at some point, because I heard such great things about the game, but I just don't have like the time. So
yeah, like I feel like I heard good enough stuff about the first one. Like, I forgot who reviewed it for us at the time, but it sounded like it was a pretty good start, like a good debut. I think it was a debut game. Maybe it wasn't.
No, I think you're right.
But no, like, all year I've heard really, really great things about the sequel. Like, it sounds like it really like took it like to another level.
Abe reviewed it earlier this year and gave it a 90. I'm just going to combine the next two because I don't have a ton to say about it. But best narrative, best game direction, both Clair Obscur. Basically, Clair Obscur is going to win the rest of the awards. Best narrative, I mean, we kind of touched upon that with RPG and stuff like that. Apparently, it has an exceptional narrative, exceptional performance, just an incredibly immersive game. And game direction, best game direction is one of those categories that's kind of, again, like a black box. I don't think that a lot of people who vote for these things actually know what game directors do. So I think this particular one is just kind of popularity contest. What's going to win game of the year is also going to win best game direction.
I think so. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how you judge that unless you know what each director, what they specifically do on a project.
Right. And it's so internal, I think is the word that was like buzzing around in my head.
Mm-hmm.
That like, direction is like mostly an internal process. I mean,
it's inside baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like for us, for anyone voting or for us looking, it's like, yeah, just like you said, John, it's like, well, this turned out well. So obviously it was directed well.
And you might hear some things here and there, you might be able to get a sense of it from the people who worked with the various directors, but like very hard for someone who was not involved in that development direction to choose.
I heard about this from someone, but with the exception of, I think, 2021, which was kind of like all over the place with results, the winner of best game direction always wins game of the year.
That's a pretty good indicator.
So our hunch is right.
Yeah, it's popularity contest. Well, speaking of popularity contest, game of the year. So obviously, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 won. It was nominated alongside Death Stranding 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Silk Song, and Hades 2 Silk Song. That's just combine the two. And Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And yeah, there was no doubt in anyone's mind that it was going to walk away with this. It wasn't even like the favorite. If any of these other games won, it wouldn't have been an upset. It would have been confusing at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if Clair Obscur wasn't there, like you said, it could have been either of the other two, but it's really just underlines like the amount of good games we got this year. I mean, Silk Song could have been released anytime between like 4 years ago and 4 years from now. So the fact that it just showed up in the middle and it was like weeks before Supergiant was like, okay, also Hades 2 is done. Like that was like two major surprises, like back to back. So, just the fact that all of those even happened within 1 year is like, oh boy, how do you do this? Honestly, it makes me really glad that for our awards, we have a runner up. So at least you can see a little bit more of like more perspectives. But
not a big surprise that this one. All in all, I thought the awards part of the Game Awards, which is like 15% of the actual show, was fine, good. Like it seems like deserving games won. There were very few things that won where I was like, what? My favorite was best community support, Baldur's Gate 3 winning, and even Jeff is like, did I win last year? Like, can we just stop giving Baldur's Gate 3 awards for God's sake, please?
I thought that was funny.
They've built a really, really strong community, but yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think, I don't know if you have a section on this that if you wanted to talk about any of the presenters or guest stars or whatever. So I'll hold off if you do.
I don't. I was going to mention them occasionally in the announcements, but we can talk about them briefly now if you have someone you want to mention.
I mean, I thought it was fun seeing Neil and, oh my gosh, I forgot her name from Resident Evil. Their little presentation because they gave the award to Jen for Clair Obscur. But they had a good little rapport going about what is an actor? Are they a liar? Like that was, I know that stuff is all scripted, but like a lot of people go up there and like it feels scripted, but theirs actually felt natural. So I was entertained. Lenny Kravitz, I don't have anything to say. I was just like, why is it? I can't believe Lenny Kravitz is here.
Well, hold on.
It was so surprising. What?
I'm not done talking about Neil.
Oh, sorry. I didn't let you talk about your friend Neil.
No, I'm just saying that playfully, but like, I don't know, him giving the award to Jen. I always just really like seeing people who have been on previous projects together who are like continuing to support each other. That was just very, very sweet.
Yeah. Maggie Robertson. Yeah. Who had a somewhat awkward, but still not terrible Capcom commercial, which had Susie Hunter in it, which I was delighted to see because I I think Susie is a exceptionally good YouTuber, and it was nice to see her get a spotlight because she loves Capcom and Resident Evil specifically. Okay, and there were other things. I don't want to talk about Piggy Jeff.
Oh yes, you do.
I was a little bit.
If we don't talk about it, then it's going to be really weird when I make the graphic for this episode. Jeff and
Mike,
Piggy.
I don't think this could get any more weird. I was a little bit not upset, but I think they missed an opportunity because no one's made it, and it was a joke on the internet. I really kind of wish that at some point Jeff had said "Quiet, Miss Piggy," and then she just beats the crap out of him. That probably would have been a little bit political, but it would have been funny.
It'd be cool. It would have been funny if Kermit showed up too.
I'm not sure Kermit's in the picture anymore.
Oh.
Hmm.
Oh.
Are they canonically broken up or together? I know they were broken up in the Muppets reboot a decade plus ago.
I don't know where they stand now.
I don't think anyone does. I don't think even Disney wears. I don't even Disney knows where the Muppets stand right now. The Muppets' primary showcase every year is the Game Awards, and that says a lot about where Disney positions the Muppets.
Right?
Also, Evanescence. Not to change the topic.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Evanescence
exciting.
was there. I was like, Evanescence is here. That's okay.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yep. We got to roast J.J. Abrams in the forum in I can't even say Slack anymore, in Discord for a little bit. That was fun. Not enough lens flares in this presentation.
You said that. You literally said there's not enough lens flares, and then immediately 2 lens flares showed up.
Yeah. I mean, it's just his style, I guess.
I mean,
lens flares.
Your commentary on that was one of my favorites. Unless you don't want this on the podcast, but we were all chatting about it, as it was live, and you said something like, "Oh, look, it's the man who ruined both Star Wars and Star Trek. It's a good time for me to go make some tea." And that was just the best take.
See, I'm actually a giant fan of the lens flare in J.J. Abrams movies because it means that I can't actually see the screen for that section.
Wow.
Sorry, I can't stand him. I think he's a hack. I think he hires talented people. I think he has a real eye for talent. Yeah. I just think that he's a hack. Felicia Day was there, which I was delighted by because Felicia Day has gone out of the spotlight for the last few years. Well, I think she was raising her kid. And in the last few years, she's kind of come back into it. Felicia Day was so far ahead of her time. I honestly think that she's one of those people that was so far ahead of her time, she didn't actually get to reap the benefits of being ahead of her time.
Yeah, I can see it.
With her internet content and the way, her web series, The Guild, and also creating Geek and Sundry, these things were the foundation for much, much, much more successful enterprises that came further down the line. But she was a pioneer of creating them along with some other folks. And she never really got the fame and the money that I feel like she should have based on how big those things have become over the last couple of years.
I really love the specific thing they brought her on for too. That was, I like that sequence.
I did too. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I'm looking at the list of presenters here. I thought the whole Street Fighter thing was a little awkward, but whatever. It is what it was. Yeah, Lenny Kravitz was interesting. Todd Howard coming out at the end. Whenever Todd Howard shows up, you're just like, oh, he's going to announce something. No, he's not going to announce something because it's Todd Howard. And he doesn't announce things anymore. He just talks about Fallout 76 DLC. Okay, let's move on to the announcements now, because that's where the real meat of the Game Awards is, the big reveals. So we're going to be talking about, obviously, the RPGs and adventure games that are in our coverage, of course, but there are some reveals here that are just too cool and I'm too excited about not to mention. So we're actually opening with one, which is I think that Bradley the Badger is a really funny idea, and I'm excited to see what this game turns into. It's
really, really creative. Yeah. I was like, if it was just a meta take on a platforming mascot guy whose life is to just go out and do platforming, but then he goes and does something else, I thought that would have been funny on its own. The concept I like, but when it gets into actually getting into game dev tools and tweaking things, and I don't know, I think it has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I just really like the idea of there's this classic mascot platformer character, and he's being dumped into all of these genres that he doesn't belong in, like a Souls-like or a Cyberpunk 22-esque thing, or Last of Us. I just think that's a really funny meta idea that I really hope they pull off.
Yeah, maybe a little like Wreck-It Ralph influence there.
A little bit, yeah, probably.
So
yeah,
I'd like to see that succeed.
The next one, again, not in our coverage, or maybe in our coverage. The problem with a lot of these games is they might be in our coverage and we just won't know until we see more of them. But as a person who grew up as a teenager in the early 2000s, Stupid Never Dies, and the song was like, oh, wow, this sounds exactly like something that was written around the early 2000s. That's pretty impressive. Good pastiche is hard to do, and this nailed it.
Yeah, nailed the look and sound. 100%.
Yeah. It's basically Warm Bodies, the video game, but, I could play that.
Yeah. The announcement threw me off a little bit because I thought we were getting like some kind of like funky zombie rhythm game.
Which also would have been cool.
Right. And why was all the gameplay just him? Where did she go? I'm curious. I want to know.
That's the thing. The summary says that he's trying to save her for she's frozen and he loved her in life and she's trying to get. But then again, it's also saying that she is a sniper. So it seems like she has some kind of a major role to play in the game. I think it's the kind of game we just need to see more of before we can nail it down.
Maybe they're both playable but have different gameplay styles, and they're only ready to show his for now. I don't know.
Finally, getting to something that is in within our coverage, and everyone was super excited about until everyone realized when the damn thing is likely to be released, which is Star Wars: Fate of the Old Republic. So, Old Republic games fans have been jerked around a bit the last couple of years, based on like, okay, we're getting a remake of Old Republic, and oh no, we're not. But this is a brand new. It's an action RPG, so it's not going to be turn-based, but it's going to be directed by the guy who directed Republic, and he also directed Mass Effect. And it's like, oh, okay, yes, please, that sounds terrific. We'll have that. But they also just opened the studio this year, so like we're looking at a game that's going to be releasing in 2030.
Maybe. I mean, I'm really excited about that. I'm even though I haven't played much of like Knights of the Old Republic, I understand the fan base, and it's really sad about the weird limbo space that the remake is in. So, hopefully this could also mean something comes of that remake, because the last I saw, it wasn't outright canceled. It's just like permanently or indefinitely on hold. So maybe, I don't know.
Hopefully around to various dev teams.
Yeah. Hopefully something comes of it.
It drives me crazy that they got LucasArts games and they're just like, they just didn't do anything with it. They just shut it down and then outsourced everything to friggin' EA. You got like one of the greatest adventure game studios in history, and you just didn't know what to do with it. I don't think they know they got it. I think it was just like somewhere on like page 564 of the contract, and they just kind of ignored it. They didn't even know they got it. Anyway, I would say rather controversial trailer, probably the most controversial trailer that we've seen out of one of these things for quite some time, was Divinity.
Yep.
So this was greeted with some, oh my God, I'm eating. What the hell are you doing? From various people in Discord.
Yep.
For a very good reason, because Larian Studios, obviously, Divinity has been their long running role playing series, which used to be action RPGs until they made Divinity Original Sin in 2014, and then kind of pivoted straight into CRPGs. Not throwbacks necessarily, but feeling like modern takes on the classic CRPG. So they released Divinity Original Sin, Divinity Original Sin 2. They were directly responsible for the resurgence of the CRPG genre, which directly led to like Baldur's Gate 3. And yeah, we don't know anything about this yet. We don't know what the perspective is. We don't know if it's going to be like isometric or the style of like CRPG, or if it's going to be an action RPG. We don't know anything about it yet. All we know is that it was one of the most graphic trailers I've ever seen, and there was an orgy. Yep.
That's what it was. I don't know, that kind of stuff isn't for me. If people enjoyed it, that's fine. It's not what I expected for Divinity. I haven't played that much of it, but it's like, I don't know. I understand like the scene they're trying to set and like the weird disconcerting nature of what's going on, along with people celebrating. And, it definitely does set a mood. but it's the same reason I can't watch most trailers for anything post Diablo 3. Every time there's a Diablo 4 trailer, like something in there is like, oh, well, that's going to stick with me when I close my eyes. It's not my thing. So I don't know what that means for the game itself. Maybe nothing. Maybe it's just here it is. But man,
I liked Divinity Original Sin 2 probably just as much or even slightly more than Baldur's Gate 3. So I'm excited for this game. But since there's no gameplay, you always know it's years away.
Especially if they're going to make it bigger than Baldur's Gate 3. It's going to take a while to make anything bigger than that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, a lot of shock value right out of the gate. So I guess we'll see what that's about.
Yeah. So not a fan of the trailer, but I at least have faith in Larian. So I think it'll still be good. I just don't like that as the initial introduction.
I mean, provided that Larian started immediately after Baldur's Gate 3 was released, because Baldur's Gate 3 didn't get any further development in terms of like DLC. They patched it and stuff like that. This game would have probably had about 2.5 years, I'd say 6 months to develop this core ideas and concepts. So probably about 2 years of solid development. But given the size of it, yeah, we're not seeing this. We're going to see this just before Fate of the Republic comes out. And
both of those will be before Fable.
Yeah, they're going to go head to head in the Game Awards in 2030. And Fable. Well, Fable, what are you talking about? Fable won't be out by then. That's optimism right there, Mike. Okay, let's move on now. We don't need to talk too much about this, but I just absolute proof that a 90s era Leonardo DiCaprio haircut still sets hearts aflutter. Leon Kennedy is back in Resident Evil Requiem, and the second his hair showed up, people were like, "Yeah!" I honestly think like I like the character of Leon, but I honestly think like 50% of his character is just his haircut.
They were cheering for his hair. Let's get that straight.
Yeah, they were cheering for his hair physics. It looks solid, good stuff. I don't know. Capcom is in such a weird place with Resident Evil right now, where they have two such successful styles of Resident Evil game. Like there's like the survival horror and there's the action horror, and they keep trying to smush them into each other. And I kind of feel like, just make one then the other, one then the other. It's kind of what take a Monster Hunter style approach to it, maybe. But I'm sure it'll be good. I hope it'll be good. I don't really play Resident Evil games anymore, but they're the kind of games that they have such a great fan base and such a great pedigree that I do hope that they are always good. I
feel like they've really been on a good run ever since 7, especially.
They got back on track. Yeah, that's for sure.
They got to compete with Silent Hill.
Yeah, now all of a sudden
they do. F has gotten some. I mean, it got nominated for a bunch. Didn't win anything, obviously, but it got nominated for a bunch. It'll be interesting to see where they keep taking F. I mean, there'll be a remake of the original Silent Hill at some point. Yahtzee over at Second Wind had a very interesting video where he talked about a potential remake of Silent Hill, and he was like, it's going to be weird because it's so different from every single other entry in the title. Like most of what we think about Silent Hill is from Silent Hill 2. It's not from the first game. It's Silent Hill 2. So it'll be really interesting to see if they can take it and modernize it and basically make it fit into what the current conception we have of Silent Hill. Jonathan Blow made a reappearance of The Witness and Braid fame with Order of the Sinking Star. It's a narrative puzzle game, and it looks interesting. I don't know what else to say. I think I need to play it in order to really nail down my feelings about it. I like Braid. I could not get into The Witness. I tried like 3 times. It's just one of those games I bounce off hard.
Yeah, I've tried it a couple times too. No, I thought I was really excited. Jeff did his things like, here's a creator that's been working on this game for a long time. I'm like, okay, where are you going with this? And I wasn't expecting that. I think it looks really neat. I also think it's the kind of game that I would expect to see in like a wholesome direct. Like it almost feels out of place here. And I really think more than anything, I don't know if it was a good trailer. I think the idea of the game and the puzzles, like I'm all for a game that has like 1,400 puzzles or whatever. Like the concept is really cool. I'm not sure the trailer sold it very well, but just knowing who's behind it and looking at it, it looks really, I want to check it out.
Well, there's still more time to learn more and maybe sell it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested, even despite it being like, I don't know what it was, like something about the trailer just felt a little strange, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it does. More in our coverage is Exodus, which is being, I guess, touted as like a successor to the Mass Effect series because God knows they're not doing anything with it. But it looks like a Mass Effect with the numbers filed off. And it's from some of the original devs, and good. I'll take that happily. Give.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the last time we heard about the next Mass Effect that still has no name. So, if they're not doing it, let's let someone else do it.
What are you talking about? Is a name Mass Effect 4? That's a name, right? It's just going to be Mass Effect 4. No, you're right. They're not going to be able to resist putting some kind of a Mass Effect final mission or something like that onto it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there, but
I don't think BioWare knows what's going on around there.
Yeah, but no, I mean, Exodus looks, I think it is promising at least. So I hope it does well.
Yeah, I'd hope it does well too. Warlock Dungeons and Dragons. It's a new Dungeons and Dragons game. I think that they were kind of caught flat-footed after the success of Baldur's Gate 3, and they just didn't really have anything else in the chamber. And now they do, but it's not going to really appeal to, I think, like Baldur's Gate fans. I don't know if it'll appeal to Dungeons and Dragon fans, to be honest.
Warlock was the one that was just the CGI trailer, right?
Yeah.
That Trisha Helfer introduced.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm excited to have her in there. I think that's cool, but obviously I'm a big Battlestar Galactica fan, so that's why. I mean, as a CG trailer, it was beautiful. Like there was a lot of purple. I like purple. And magic and swords and
warlocks are purple.
Warlocks are purple. I mean, there's like that one's what, 2027? I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm at the point where I'm like, a CGI trailer that tells you nothing. It's nice to look at, but like, what do we say about it? I'm glad they at least had the sense at the end, because most people don't do this, to say they're going to do a gameplay reveal next summer. So we have that. But otherwise, like, I don't know. Are they planning on like a bunch of games like focused around like a single D&D class? That's weird.
I remember when I was watching Trisha Helfer come out, this is something I've thought about occasionally, but when I was watching her, I was like, you know what I really want? I really want someone to do some kind of a science fiction property starring her and Jerry Ryan as like sisters or something like that. Because
okay, all right,
because they're both like blonde sex symbol sci-fi icons of like the late 90s, early 2000s with Voyager and Battlestar Galactica, and they both kind of have similar fan bases, and they're both like ridiculously talented, gorgeous older women. I think that you could totally do like a buddy sci-fi thing with these two, and it probably would be amazing.
Buddy sci-fi story, yes.
Why are there not like buddy cop in space movies? Like that could be that could be it.
It could be. I mean, I would enjoy watching that. I enjoy watching that seriously. Jerry Ryan I have significant problems with Star Trek Picard. I think it's a piece of garbage for the first 2 seasons, but the best part of it is Jerry Ryan in both, in all 3 actually. She's so good in them. And it's a shame that they're not doing anything more with her, because she's an exceptional actor. And she was in Voyager too. God almighty, the late 90s sucked. The late 90s sucked for women. I mean, obviously the late 90s sucked for women, but like for women in sci-fi who were turning in exceptionally good work. And it's like you watch DS9 and you watch Voyager, and Jerry Ryan is killing it as 7 of 9, absolutely killing it. And they're just like, cat suit. Or what's her name? Joanne. Oh Christ, I can't remember her last name. T'Pol in Enterprise. Again, catsuit. Best part of Enterprise. Like best actor on the show, bar none. Anyway, sorry. This is late 90s Star Trek. I love it and pisses me off at the same time. Let's move on now to a game that I am super excited about, Control Resonance. Just give it to me. I just think that Remedy can do no wrong. Just give it to me. And what is going on at the studio that they can just constantly churn out? Like, God, Alan Wake 2 was like 2 years ago, and they have this game coming out that's a turnaround time of 3 years. That's nuts. And it looks good. I mean, I'm sad that I'm not going to apparently be able to play as Jesse, but I'm still really excited for it.
Maybe you will.
Maybe I will. We're approaching the end here. I'm going to save the next one for like the end because I just want to talk about it for a minute. We're real quick, not even remotely in our coverage, but Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. It looks like they're making Lego Arkham Asylum, and smart plan, real smart. If Rocksteady's not going to do it, good. Let them do it. I don't know how it'll be because, I mean, one of the best parts about the Arkham games is the immersion and, you know, the Batman of it all. Whereas this feels, it's a Lego Batman game. So it's kind of celebrating and mocking, spoofing at the same time every version of Batman throughout history. So it'll be interesting to see if they can pull it off. I hope they do. It looks pretty good. I'm more excited about this than I have been a Lego game for a long time.
Yeah, I like the Lego games. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. A game that premature announcement, Mega Man Dual Overdrive. It's a 2D Mega Man game. I was like, okay, that's awesome. Didn't they used to churn these things out once a year?
Yeah, but that stopped a long time ago. I mean, there was a long time between 8 and 9.
Yeah, there was a long time between 8 and 9, but that's because they were also churning out X's.
Yeah.
But like, it's really funny to me that Mega Man used to be like a daily occurrence, and now it's like a once in a decade sort of thing that Mega Man shows up for a 2D game and then goes away for a long time. Dual Overdrive makes me nervous that it's going to be a multiplayer.
I don't think it is. I don't know why they're calling it that and not Mega Man 12, but
yeah, I mean, maybe they're trying to get away from the idea that you need to play the first 11, which is really funny because it's not like Mega Man is particularly plot driven.
Yeah, but you know, by the time it comes out, like, I don't know how many people, how familiar the average person is with Mega Man at this point. So I think I can see why they might want to get away from the numbers, but I'm happy to see it. It's surprising that it's almost 2 years away. Although I see people commenting, it's like, oh my God, why is it like 2 years away? I'm like, well, first of all, it's December of 2025. So for all we know, it's like 14 months away. I don't know. I'm really happy about it. It's been way too long, and you know, Mega Man gets forgotten these days almost as much as Samus. So anytime they deem to give us a new Metroid or Mega Man game, I'm happy about it.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
For those out there who love Mega Man and miss it and would like a new Mega Man game to play, I could not recommend 20XDX and 30XDX more. They're great. They're roguelike takes on Mega Man X, and they are shamelessly ripping off Mega Man X. But who cares if they're shamelessly ripping off Mega Man X, because they're pulling it off beautifully.
Why do you say it's shameless? Just because the main character is blue with an arm cannon and there's a companion that's red with a sword?
Yeah, that's pretty much right on the. Yeah, that's shameless. Absolutely shameless.
Yep.
Speaking of shameless, that brings us to Gang of Dragon. So, bar none, without a single doubt in my mind, this was the funniest reveal in the entire show. It might be the funniest reveal of the entire year for me. Nagoshi was the creator of the Like a Dragon series, and departed from RGG Studio 3 years ago at this point, and was lured over by Tencent, that good old Tencent money, and was like, okay, we're gonna make a game over there, my dream game. And then he just made Yakuza.
Right?
It's really, really funny. It's like, I don't know who the actor is, but I'm sorry, this is gonna sound terrible. He just kind of looks like Big Kiryu. Like we just Japanese guy in a sharp suit, but just like bigger than him. It's amazing. It's so funny.
That is maybe my favorite part about it, is that they didn't try to be like, oh, look, here's a lean young guy again as your protagonist. Because, like, you know, that's usually just what everyone does. So I appreciate that.
To be fair, Kiryu was never a lean young guy. The only game he's a lean young guy is in Zero. In every other game, he's like way past his prime because he spent the last 15 years in jail.
All right. That's true. I'm just saying he's in better shape than this guy seems to be. But
I'm pretty sure that this guy is just like a solid block of muscle, though. But the absolute funniest part of this is they show him walking down the street and like a Japanese street, and you're like, oh, that looks familiar. And then he walks under the Kabukicho gates, and you're like, you son of a bitch. You're not even putting it in a different neighborhood.
Nope. That's really interesting.
I would say it's Kamurocho with the numbers filed off, but it's not. It's literally Kamurocho is Kabukicho with the numbers filed off. I just love the fact that it's a real neighborhood, so they can't do anything to copyright it. Like, there's nothing RGG can do. He can just put it in Kabukicho, and he'll just have a Yakuza game in the exact same neighborhood, and they can't do anything. It's really funny.
Yeah. We'll see.
And then, of course, there was the cherry on top, the reveal of the title of the game, which is Gang of Dragon. Yep. Oh my God.
Well, like, there's no gangs in the Like a Dragon series, Jono. This is totally different.
There are clans.
Yeah, geez.
I thought at the time I didn't look so far into it because I'm not entirely into the gossip. I didn't think it was like a contentious divorce between him and RGG Studios. Like, I thought it was kind of like, I'm just going to look for different challenges. But looking at this game, I'm like, everything about this kind of seems like a giant middle finger to RGG and being like, you guys have lost the true path. I'm going to get back on it by remaking Yakuza.
It could be. It could just be, they offered me so much money. I still want to do this, but they're just going to give me all this money. So I'm going to do it over there. I don't know.
It honestly could just be that he has one game. He just has one game, and it's a real good game, but he just has one game, and he's just going to make it forever.
Yeah.
God, the reveal of the gate, the Kabukicho gate, killed me. Oh my God, I thought it was funny because he could have picked any other. It's not like the Yakuza are only in Kabukicho. It's not like, I know it's the entertainment district, but Tokyo is a big friggin' town. He could have picked anything else, but nope. Put it in Kamurocho again. Amazing. And the last big announcement wasn't even really a trailer. It was an announcement during the acceptance speech for Best Game, which was they shadow dropped the DLC for Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that.
I think everyone was. I think everyone ran off to their PS5s immediately after the show was over.
Yes.
And by everyone, I'm not just talking about like on Discord at RPG Fan. I mean literally everybody.
Well, first of all, the show was not over when I booted my PS5 up. Thank you.
Yeah,
because I wanted the download to be done so I could play it when the show was over. Yeah, I haven't messed with it a whole lot yet. I know what it is, like the new area, but there's a new area. There's actually new gameplay mechanics. There's new bosses. It's much harder than I expected. But like actually just, it also includes like nice quality of life things. There's a photo mode and some UI adjustments and some gameplay changes, like with your one of the skill, whatever, they're not skills, they're luminas pictos that you can equip. Like you can now save like different configurations of them, which you couldn't do before. Just a lot of like things that just make the game better. Like it didn't hurt that they weren't there, but it's like, oh, well, this just improves upon it. So really nice update. And it's neat that they, framed it, like literally titled it as a thank you update.
I was just going to say it.
Yeah. It's nice.
Such a mood from them throughout the show. Like they did sweep it, but I think almost every single acceptance speech they talked about the players. Like,
right. I mean, they really care about what they made or are making and the people playing it. None of those wins felt like, hey, yeah, we're just moving the needle forward and I can't even. I'm not even good at like meaningless buzzwords from AAA Studios, so I can't even pretend to do it. But yeah, none of that. It all felt genuine.
I felt not bad for them. I kind of feel like the red French beret joke was like they came up with it at the last minute. They're like, oh, wouldn't it be funny? And then eventually they were like, oh, we're going up way too many times. This joke's starting to wear real thin. And then it was the rule of three. Like it stopped being funny, and then it started getting funny again. By the end of the show, it was a hilarious gimmick where you were just looking at the audience and you're panning over and you're like, guess where they're sitting?
Yeah, that has just been a huge wild ride with those outfits because originally they put them, I think, in the French like acting revealing
the voice cast trailer.
Yeah, right. The cast, because people were complaining like, where's the French voice cast? So they're like, oh, we'll give you French.
Yeah.
And then the outfits got in the game.
Yeah.
And it just kind of exploded from there.
Yeah. Oh, actually, nothing to do with our coverage or whatever, but if we're talking about like stuff seen in the audience that was amusing. I have to. I'm so sorry that Ghost of Yotai didn't win anything, but when they did the best performance and they kept panning over to Erika Ishii, just eating this giant tub of popcorn
It was so
happily
good.
eating it, was just the best thing.
I want to be as happy as Erika Ishii was in that audience eating that popcorn.
I'm so happy Jennifer won that, but I love Erika, so I'm glad we got to see that moment.
I'll also shout out the Ben Starr thumbs up.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And she did not. She knew she was not going to win that, and she was prepared for it, and was like celebrating in a hilarious way. It was a delightful moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to open as our discussion question. The episode is technically running long, but not, because it's like our Game Awards episode. Every episode of Random Encounter at the end of the year goes way past our usual time, just because there's so much to talk about. I wanted to open the floor. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to mention?
I wanted to mention Neo 3. I played a lot of Souls-likes this year, but I haven't gotten a chance to, I guess, review one. I'm really excited about that game.
Yeah, I got a PS5 trailer, and it's not a series that I follow, to be honest. But again, it follows under the not everything is for me, and that's cool.
I know there are some huge fans of it, though. Was there anything in the specific trailer in the show that got you more excited?
So I played the alpha, and I'm kind of, I guess, ambivalent about the open world aspect in that game. But I think there's a lot of potential there.
I mean, Team Ninja, I don't want to say they rarely miss, but they usually create games that are very, very popular with most people. Ignoring, of course, like the classic blunders of Other M, and I mean, arguably Stranger of Paradise, but Stranger of Paradise has its fans too.
It sure does.
It sure does.
More than Other M.
I played Stranger of Paradise with a friend, and we had a pretty good time, but I think anything's better with friends. So
That's true.
Yep.
That's true.
I mean, the Stranger of Paradise was delightful just talking about it on Slack at the time, because we were just nonstop chaos jokes.
And Sinatra.
Oh, and Sinatra. Yeah. Wow, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, that was true. Hillary and Mike, anything that you have?
I don't know. I feel like we covered. Oh, there was one. Of course, I'm blanking on the name because we keep seeing more and more cool split screen co-op games thanks to It Takes Two. And I mean, I want to give some credit to Split Fiction, but obviously stuff announced now was obviously in development before Split Fiction. But obviously that's a growing genre. And that one I forgot the name of, where it's 90s anime style aesthetics.
That one, yeah.
Super, super cute. I think it looks really nice. It kind of makes me visually it gives me that same thing of Cuphead. Cuphead captured this old style animation, and they're really, really capturing that anime look in this cool co-op game. So I'll remind myself what it's called and look it up. But that one looks fun.
I thought you were talking about the one with the claymation and the no mouths.
Oh yeah, that one could be cool too. But yeah, that's what I mean. There was two of these co-op games there. So
Out of Words is the one with the claymation and no mouths.
Yeah.
Okay, Stupid Never Dies. When I first saw Stupid Never Dies, I kind of thought it might be that too, because that kind of had that feel where it's two very different characters. But nope, apparently not. Is it Orbitalis? Yeah. Is it the anime one?
Sure.
Orbitals. That's it.
Orbitals.
Orbitals. Or you could just say it like that if you really want to.
Okay. Yes. That sounds right. Yeah. That one.
Yeah. There are a few stories here that we just didn't talk about because why would we? Why jump on the bandwagon of beating a game up that probably doesn't deserve it? And it's probably a perfectly good game that closed the show. And it's just completely fell on its face in terms of hype, which was, if it was any other point in the show, it probably would have gotten a much better reception. I don't even remember what it was called. The one, the horseback first person game. The one who, stole Link's being able to materialize a horse out of thin air.
I don't know.
It was the big one, the last announcement.
Yeah, I know. I didn't
And you still don't know.
I didn't watch it. They're like, hey, it's like, this is a big one. It's like, we've been gearing up for this all night. It's the studio that brought you Apex Legends. And I'm like, okay, bye.
Time to get some tea.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't, I don't play them. Yeah. I don't.
No, it's just not my thing. It's a PvP game. So I'm done. It's not my thing.
If the people who like those games, I mean, it looks cool, just not for me. That's all.
The problem is that even people who like those games seem to have responded to it in a very, to put it very kindly, muted fashion.
I mean, the genres, like so many of these genres are getting pretty crowded now. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you the game I'm excited for that I didn't mention. It is a spiritual successor to Soma called Ontos. It's from the developers of Soma, and Soma is low key one of my, I wouldn't call it my favorite game, but a game that has stuck with me more than just about any other game I've ever played.
Wow. Okay.
It's unbelievably good. And arguably it's better if you, in my opinion, I played it both ways. I think it's a better game if you download a mod and you disable the enemies being able to hurt you. Because it's supposedly a horror game and you have to avoid these monsters that are roaming around that are incredibly creepy. But if you disable that, it makes them almost creepier, where they're just like shambling beings that are like grotesque and body horror. And it creates a very unsettling experience that I just adore. It's so good. But I'm really excited that this is getting a spiritual successor. I cannot wait to play it, presumably with the lights on. Because there's a lot of body horror in this trailer. And weirdly, even though the body horror is actually more disturbing, it's still less disturbing than the Divinity trailer, weirdly.
Right.
Less orgies and little girls in it. Yeah, that was weird. The fact that they put, like, especially recently, because Steam has been making a massive thing. Have you guys followed the horses controversy?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, I totally agree with Steam necessarily being like, we don't want like children and sex being that close together. And it's like, this trailer has like a little girl, if not attending an orgy, at least leaving just before one. And it's like, that's weird, guys. That's not really the message you should be sending right now, based on the controversy coming out of horses, where it's like, if you have money and you're successful, then it's fine.
Right.
Anyway, so that was the Game Awards 2025. And that is the beginning of our year-end coverage at Random Encounter and RPG Fan. Like I mentioned off the top, we're doing things a little bit differently this year, where usually Random does the most anticipated and Retro does the best of 2025. That's not going to be the case this year. Random's going to do both. I think that Zach is still hosting the second one. I think I'll be on the episode, though, because I love being on that episode. It's so much fun. And I will get to talk about Blueprints and talk about how it was robbed. Damn it, robbed. And we'll obviously have the features coming out, too, around the same times that the episodes are being released. So obviously, stay tuned for that. And we'll also have Music of the Year coming out in a little while. We're currently working on that, too. So there's going to be a lot coming out of RPG Fan in the next little while. And if you're looking a way to support us in that, you can visit our shop at www.rpgfan.com/shop. Mike, if people are looking for some last minute Christmas presents, what can they buy?
Well, I probably should check, because I found out this morning that we no longer have baby onesies.
What?
No.
I know.
Are you kidding me? I have to change my script now.
I know, right? We were recording Retro this morning, and Zach mentioned that. I was like, yeah, it's like, I actually, that's one of the things that just went away. I'm like, oh, well, that's too bad.
Well, to all the parents out there, I'm sorry.
I know,
but we don't have any more baby onesies.
I have to email them. I don't know if they just discontinued it entirely. But
how small are the shorts? Can the children fit into the shorts?
Oh, probably. Yeah. So, but there are shorts and shirts and stickers, and I don't remember if I kept the pillows enabled. I don't remember if you can get an RPG Fan pillow, but I think you can. Enabled. Notebooks should be, mugs. Yeah, so there's a lot of RPG Fan branded merch you can get, at least, even if at the moment there's no onesies.
There are no onesies. That is very sad, but hopefully there will be in 2026. Another way to support us is to check out the past episodes of all of our podcasts. At Random Encounter last week, we focused on 2 very different styles of adventure games, Dispatch and Detective Instinct, Farewell, My Beloved. Farewell, My Beloved looks great for fans of like Hotel Dusk or certainly Ace Attorney. Dispatch has been utterly tearing the place up. I'm stunned at how much traction this thing has gotten, and I'm excited about this game. I was excited about this game before it was released, but like people are raving about it still. It's really got some staying power, and that's super exciting.
It's a lot
because I
of
thought
fun.
it was a business model that was dead.
Yeah.
Like even Yahtzee gave it on Fully Random-O-Matic gave it a incredibly good review, especially for Yahtzee. Yahtzee doesn't give anything good reviews, and he loved it. So yeah, I'm going to be checking that out as soon as I get it for Christmas. We also have Retro Encounter, and in the last episode, they did a Dragon Quest tier list. Everyone loves tier lists, and everyone loves Dragon Quest. So if you love both, that is the episode for you. And as Mike mentioned earlier in this episode, last week's rhythm was super timely because it was all about the music of Claire Obscura. How did the episode go? Both of you. I think both of you were on it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think it went well.
Me too.
I've been told that the final result of my editing turned out well, so
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Excellent.
No, it was a lot of fun.
And if you're looking for just kind of like an intro into the music, well, actually,
You can listen to half the episode.
yeah, there are spoilers. That's the other important thing to say about it. It was a great discussion, beautiful music, spoilers.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to avoid spoilers with that kind of episode, though.
Yeah.
Like especially when you're talking about that. I imagine this is a game that has some musical spoilers as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's the kind of game that if in some cases, if you are familiar with French, you could pick up on a spoiler, but also generally not know why it's a spoiler. But yeah, it's all over the place. So we were careful in the first half, but there's a warning for the second half.
Okay. Glad that you put that out there. If you'd like to get in contact with us here at Random Encounter, you can fire us off a message at podcast@rpgfan.com. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, discussion questions, we're obviously not going to be able to use those until the new year because we have pretty set, the episodes always run long. So no time for discussion questions, but we will in the new year. Anyway, anything else you'd like to share, fire me off a message there. And you can also send me an email directly at jlogan@rpgfan.com. And you can also find me at jonologan.bluesky.social. I'm not the only person on here with a social media presence. Zach, where can we find you online?
Well, you can just find me on the RPG Fan website in the staff page. You can read my reviews, previews, everything.
Yes, and you've actually reviewed several of the games we chatted about today and several of the winners. Actually, no, you reviewed one of the winners and you reviewed many of the nominees. Guess which one was the winner? And Hillary, where can we find you online?
RPG Fan emails best, hillary@rpgfan.com.
Cool. And Mike?
Email for me too, mike@rpgfan.com, unless you have thoughts or feedback on Rhythm Encounter, in which case music@rpgfan.com.
If anyone out there enjoyed this podcast, share it with your friends to help us get the word out there. These year-end episodes are always really, really big, and I think they're usually really good jumping on points just because we have a lot of different personalities from the site. Because it's usually review heavy around here because we talk about the reviews. So this is the kind of year where we get a lot more people on a Random Encounter who make more frequent appearances on both retro and rhythm. So give these episodes a listen and fire them off. I'd like to thank everyone on for joining me and also for watching. I mean, I suspect a lot of you are watching the Game Awards anyway, but it's still it's a full evening of relative concentration, except of course when J.J. Abrams comes out on stage. So thank you very much for watching and for chatting with me. And Zach, thank you very much for playing Octopath Zero. You got me pretty excited about it, actually. I'm looking forward to playing some games in the new year.
Yeah, I highly recommend the game, regardless of the things I mentioned. So
yeah, well, not every game is perfect. And to everyone out there, thank you very much for joining us. And whatever you are playing, have fun.